Actually, that's about the only place you could put the horn, because there isn't any steering wheel. No steering wheel, and you don't need the brake and the accelerator that are down there. Let's take a little drive and see how it goes. We just push forward to accelerate. Nothing down here. My feet aren't needed in the accelerator. And to turn right and left, we just turn the knob to right or left. Here, I'll swerve it a little bit to show you. Left, just that little tiny bit. Right, a little tiny bit is all it takes. Very sensitive. That's one of the things you have to get used to, is the sensitivity of the guiding. But once you've done so, there's really nothing to it. Braking is as simple as pulling back on the knob.
There is one romance that will not die in the next 34 years. The American for his automobile. Cars in the 21st century may fly, may be automated, may run on gasoline, kerosene, electricity, or the atom, but they'll be loved, all 160 million of them. Today, a report on the cars of tomorrow, when there will be autos everywhere in the 21st century. There's only one certainty about the cars of the 21st century, as any designer will tell you. There will be an awful lot of them. One for every adult in the United States. Some experts say triple the number today, which makes one wonder, with all those cars, will we have to pave the whole country and turn it into one big parking lot? It's a sobering thought, even when you look at some of the sleek, exotic, far-out cream puffs the designers are working with for the world of tomorrow. Let's take a look at some of today's experimental cars, designed not for flash and dash, but for a purpose, like safety, which has given the industry some bad moments recently. This experimental Ford has aircraft-type controls which eliminate the steering wheel rim, source of collision injuries. They say it also gives improved steering response, reduces driver fatigue, and provides better visibility. Problem: air pollution. Possible answer: battery-powered cars. These are the batteries that power GM's Electrovare, an electric Corvair. The car can travel 80 miles between charges, can gun from 0 to 60 miles an hour in 16 seconds. But the batteries add 800 pounds to the Corvair's weight, are good for only 100 charges, and cost $15,000, which would buy a couple of Cadillacs. Another source of electric power would be the fuel cell, here used to drive a small GM van. The fuel cell uses a volatile mixture of liquid oxygen and hydrogen under low temperatures and high pressure. Still another power plant to cut down on air pollution is the gas turbine engine. This reporter drove several experimental cars in Detroit, won a turbine job.
This is Chrysler's gas turbine automobile, which is really a car of today, but may tell us something about the cars of tomorrow. We start the gas turbines just by turning on a key as you would a normal ignition, and actually driving this car is just about like driving any other automobile. We pull out a gear selector lever, put it into a drive position, and away we go. The gas turbine, not having all the moving parts of a normal internal combustion engine, is vibration-free. You feel absolutely nothing in this car, and the vibration of the engine, and the noise is only a little whine of the turbines turning. It's almost a comfortable little noise. You have here your turbine revolutions per minute and the temperature of your turbines, which is something you would learn to watch even as you watch the temperature of an internal combustion engine. And outside of that, it's a normal automobile. The advantages of a gas turbine engine, they say at Chrysler, where a great deal of work has been done in this, is the fact that it uses a universal fuel, any kind of fuel that mixes with air to burn. That is kerosene or diesel fuel, or gasoline, alcohol. Any of those things can work, and you can mix them up in the tank, and it makes no difference at all. They found that the diesel fuel is a little bit the most economical. It drives like any other automobile. No special instructions are necessary, and it could very well be a power plant that would be adaptable for some future use. This is a styling model of what Chrysler envisions we may have in the future. For a key, a type of IBM punch card, we insert in a little opening in the door, and that opens up for us. That same device we use for the ignition key. It fits right down into the ignition, and then turn this dial, starts the car, and also is our drive selector. You bring out the steering device. You can't call it a steering wheel any longer. The driver brings it on back to a comfortable position. Once he gets this back to the position he wants and finds comfortable, turns the steering pistol grip electronic devices here and turns right or left with either the right or the left hand. A simple turn like that. Very easy to operate. This steering panel is, of course, a safety feature, doing away with the steering wheel and steering column on which so many drivers have been impaled. Another interesting safety feature in this 300X is this television screen in front of me. That's a picture by a television camera mounted in the rear of the car, pointing backwards, which shows the entire road behind me. And on that are two grids which give me a safety indication as to where the cars are positioned behind me for safe or unsafe passing positions. Here's an interesting feature. This is called an ash receiver. It can't be called an ash tray any longer. So that ashes don't blow around in the car, you dump the ashes in here, then press a button. When you press the button, a vacuum cleaner sucks the ashes back into a fire-safe receptacle. And this is a feature that, I like for, I guess, rather obvious reasons. Press a button here, and that door in the back of the car opens up. When it's open, I press this button, and there I am. A television set for the passengers in the back seat. When they've completed their viewing, I press the button, send the set to the back of the car, and close the door. This is General Motors Research Division's concept of some aids to we drivers in the future. This is called DARE, Driver Aid Information and Routing System. A box in your car, a display panel here. The box has the capability of feeding in information for any route that we want to drive across the country. Let's say we're in Washington and want to go to Boston. Fairly simple route I picked out, but we go to our local travel bureau, AAA, whatnot. Instead of getting one of those red marked maps, they just give us a little card, Washington to Boston. We slip it into the computer, feed it down like that, and we're ready to go to Boston with all of the information displayed right here on the panel. Where we turn right, turn left, the speed we ought to be driving at any given time, when there's going to be a curve ahead in the road, all automatically programmed into this machine. We get the information from a set of magnets all along the route at any given point where they want to give us information, and by the placing of 6 magnets in different positions, it feeds up automatic information to us. We're all ready to go, and let's take our drive to Boston. Well, we're driving along the highway. We've got all of our route information on the card. It's feeding out here on the display panel just what we have to do. tells us to drive 15 miles an hour and to yield and turn left, which we now do. The driver's still going to have to be alert, of course, for any traffic hazards the machine isn't going to pick up, such as other cars at cross sections.
Stop ahead for dare demonstration.
But now we stop for the dare demonstration, and that's what we want to look at. What we can do besides get that automatic information with this system. Well, I have stopped. Let's say that I have come upon a bad accident in the road right ahead of me. We turn our mode selector to aid. We press our button for service, and we dial 4 for a tow car, 2 for an ambulance, 1 for the police, and 0, which will alert them that we want to talk to them on this on our audio circuit as well. We dial license and dial our own number in here, the license of this car, which is 705, the last 3 digits used for this purpose, and then our location. Now this is Highway 75, so we dial 7 and 5, and we've seen a marker on the road right ahead, which is 39. So we dial 7539. It automatically tells them where this car is, where this trouble is. And now we'll press back to service, and we'll wait for them to come in and tell us that this equipment's on the way.
This is Dare Service Center to car 705.
You have requested an ambulance, a police car, and a tow truck.
We are sending this service to you immediately. Approximate arrival time, 15 minutes.
Well, that's the way it would work. Every car in immediate touch with such aid stations. We get back onto the now cleared highway. Our automatic routing system is taking over again. It's still functioning just as it has before. Now that says 15 miles an hour and turn to the right. So we slow to 15 miles an hour, maximum. Make our turn to the right. And we're on a nice straight part of our throughway again. It's as simple as that. General Motors obviously can't predict when a system like this might be available. It's really not up to them. They can put the equipment in the cars, but then all of the highways have to be marked with these magnets and then with the audio signals before this will come for the driver of the 21st century.
Fully automated driving is still a long way off. This is General Motors' model for an automated system. Guidance cables embedded in the road might feed in signals to steer, brake, and accelerate the vehicles automatically. Buses would travel in separate lanes with close spacing. There are some imaginative plans for automated driving. At MIT, graduate students have proposed a dual-mode car. Drive it yourself or hook it onto an automated transit system. Assistant Professor Dwight Bauman.
Well, Dr. Bauman, on the basis of your present studies and what you foresee for the future, let's take the year 2001. I'm a commuter. Now, just take me through my day. How am I going to get to work and get home again?
You have 2 choices. You get up in the morning and you decide you want to take your golf clubs and you want to stop at the drugstore and a number of other things. So you take your own vehicle. This means you climb into the vehicle in your driveway, you get out onto the street, and at that point you may be on the automatic system. It would travel rather slowly until it got to an artery, and then it would travel at 60 miles per hour from there to downtown.
But you see these as actual rail lines?
The vehicles that we see are dual mode in that they may be driven on the streets or be guided.
Of course, after the next step is after you're getting all these vehicles coming into town, you've still got to park them.
Well, not exactly. When the vehicles are automatic, parking can also be automatic. And they may, in fact, be parked a long way away from where you are, because you'd be able to call them back with a telephone. Or your wife may use them. Or your 4-year-old children may use them, because they'd only need to be able to push a button as they do in the elevator. You would control destination by putting a card in a slot, much like the telephone system presently, or dialing. You dial your office or the exit you wanted to get to or the drugstore, whatever the case might be. You'd have no other control except a panic button which says, "Get me out of the next stop." the computer system would route you by the best way that day. When you arrived downtown, if you worked in an office complex, you might climb out of your vehicle and get into a personalized capsule which takes you right to the elevator and may even take you up the elevator. The capsule may in fact rise in the elevator. You'd go to your office, and when you're ready to go home, you would dial a vehicle. If you now wanted the one that had the golf clubs in the back seat, you'd better dial your own vehicle. It would come to you either from its local storage garage or from a storage garage out on the salt flat someplace. Or, in fact, your wife may have used it during the day, and it would come to you if she weren't now using it.
Now, how has she gotten my vehicle? I got off of it downtown, intending it to go to the garage. Meanwhile, she's dialed it and had it come back out to the garage.
If you've allowed her a password that gets her into the computer system...
Oh, that's the key. I don't have to give her the password.
Right. Yeah. Now, the alternative mode, I said there were two ways to get from your home. The alternative mode is to dial a vehicle which you do not own. It runs on the same system, but it has to come to your driveway first. This is sort of the public vehicle. It's the automated taxi cab, as it were, that gives the transportation capability to people who can't afford a car or who don't see the economic benefit from a private vehicle.
Now, suppose I'm in my building and I've got my car on this system somewhere, and I decide that I've got to go to London this afternoon.
Well, there's several things might happen. You may call the car, your car or the public car, and go to the airport. But at the airport, your capsule or the seat you're on in the car may be transferred to the airplane, or perhaps even the car itself. It turns out that the space, the volume available for people, or required for people to stretch out and to sit in a chair, sort of 6 or 8 or 10 square feet of floor space and a certain height. That size module may in fact be the size of some of the vehicles, and maybe the vehicle and all gets carried on the transportation airplane to London.
And conceivably, if we really got an internationalized system, I could get out and get on the London system and go to my hotel.
That's a lot farther off than the year 2001, though.
At Westboro, Massachusetts, this reporter drove the nearest thing to a working prototype for a dual-mode plan, the Alden Star car. Star for self-transit rail and road. This could be your own car or a public vehicle. You drive it conventionally on its own electric power until you arrive at a terminal where it's hooked into an electric rail roadway.
Now here, where I'm ready to get onto the rail system, this is where this trip really becomes different. Under conventional present-day systems, at this point I'd be, well, finding a place in the parking lot, walking maybe 2 minutes to the station, climbing a flight of stairs, and waiting for the train. Or I'd be getting into the entryway of a throughway, and I'd be beginning to tense up for the day's drive into town, because I'm going to have to get in line, wait for that pile of oncoming traffic moving at 60 miles an hour or more, all individual drivers with their own individual ideas of where they're going to drive that car, and I have mine about my car. And to get into that line and with stop-and-go traffic eventually get to town. But now, with the Star system, I'm driving up to this entry rail for the rail ride into town. Automatically, as I get up to this point, a guide pin drops down that guides me through a V-shaped slot right onto the rail system itself. So then I press a button here, and it automatically sets the route into the computer, feeds me into the traffic, and I'm off and on the rail and going into town. I can relax now, watch television, read the facsimile news here, my morning newspaper. Maybe I'll bring a little kid along and I'll make some coffee on the way, or shave. Or if the seat reclines, I can lie back and grab another 15 minutes sleep on the way to the office. It's all automatic until I get off at the other end.
Finally, Star could be left on the system, empty, to be parked or reused, or you could drive it right to your destination. If automation ever comes, it will be because technology will have to deal with the growing avalanche of traffic. Today, half of the land area of Los Angeles is devoted to the care and feeding of automobiles. In their cartoon, Automania 2000, Hallis and Batchelor see the future this way. A new structure of civilization is already apparent. In the more densely populated areas of our planet, people have been confined to their cars for over 5 years. Scientists turned their attention to supplying the needs of car dwellers. Distribution was carried out by helicopter. As the car dwellers grew accustomed to their new environments, they discovered that those who lived higher up were better off. The prestige of top-level living led to keeping up above the Joneses. This guaranteed a never-ending demand for new cars. Seeking an answer, the scientists stumbled on a discovery of the first magnitude. A car that could reproduce itself, the ultimate in automation. Today, the cars are beginning to crowd the people. The average driving speed in a city like New York is a horse and buggy 9 miles an hour. You can walk almost as fast. How on earth will we get there tomorrow? The rocket belt by Bell Aerosystems fulfills one of man's most cherished dreams, to fly like a bird. It was developed for the military and for travel on the moon. No one seriously suggests it as a 21st century answer to our transportation problems. Imagine the noise at rush hour. Imagine the traffic jam upstairs. But it could certainly make daily commuting an exhilarating experience. Transportation for tomorrow, unhappily, will not be as blue sky as rocket belts or this flying pogo stick. It will involve serious considerations like a system's approach to traffic, tunneling under cities, automation, a whole range of technology. It's a pity, in a way, for as anyone who fights the daily traffic snarl getting to work can tell you, this would be a lovely way to go in the 21st century.
The 21st Century was filmed and edited under the supervision and control of CBS News.